tested the RCA10 alarm clock for usability testing for our HCDE 210 class. We are Valerie, Mark, and Julia.
We did our usability test in the research comments on April 22nd. We did a test individually so the users would not learn from our observation, and they're all 19-year-old college students.
So our 3 tasks were setting the alarm clock to 8 a.m., adjusting the snooze time to 5 minutes, and supposedly if their class was canceled to turn off the alarm so it doesn't go off the next morning. And our 3 metrics were rating the experience on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the most easy, 5 being the most difficult, 2, which would be the time it took to complete each task, and 3, have them explain their thought process for which buttons they pushed and why.
Our first task is to let the participants set the alarm clock to 8 in the morning. The first person thinks it's difficult. She ended up setting the time for the clock, but not the alarm. The second participant also did the same thing because she is used to setting an alarm clock that only has one time indicator. Our third participant is the only one that did the correct approach, but after she set the alarm, she set it to the clock mode, not the lock mode.
So our second task, which was to set the snooze time, everybody found it very difficult with an experience rating of 5. And most people had difficulty differentiating between asleep/wake mode buttons, thinking that this would give them the snooze time when in reality there's a snooze bar on the top. And so they didn't know that they had to hold down the snooze bar. It wasn't very intuitive, so they couldn't figure out how to set the snooze time.
And for our third task, turning off the alarm, most were confused with using the set bar to change the time, as well as which symbols blinked, and they thought possibly the snooze bar would change the time and that the sleep time was the snooze. However, the third participant actually understood the task but was still confused by what the wake mode showed.
So for our redesign recommendations, we were thinking that there are a lot of different indicators on the clock face, but they're gray on a black background. So we're thinking of making those white so it's easier to see. And then to divide the snooze bar into 2 buttons so that it's clear that we're setting a snooze or a snooze time. And then we can also change the colors on that because right now it's black on black, where it might be easier to see if it was white on black. There are icons on the face of the clock that maybe are hard for people to understand what they actually mean, so changing those into the actual words of what they are could help. And then changing the sleep time into a radio timer instead of just the word sleep can make its function more clear. And then changing the forward and back buttons to having only one triangle can make it more clear.
Things we wish we could have done differently is to set the alarm on instead of off, so the second time indicator that is meant for the alarm might be more apparent. And we did not reset the clock time, so that might have confused the users.